gentlemen, welcome to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, episode 500.
Yeah.
For the week of Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here this week?
Brock Sager.
And Kevin.
Yeah.
There you go. And Kevin's going to leave in like 30 minutes. So what? Celebrating 500 episodes with me and Brock. Excellent.
Now, see,
fantastic. Just what the fans want.
Well, that's going back to the OG days.
OG days. After 500 episodes, we've reverted back to normal.
Yep.
Finally, shedding all this dead skin. Dead
Yeah.
weight, I think is the word I was trying to say.
See, if Ryan truly cared about the listeners, he would have had guests calling in. He would have had clips pulled from past episodes.
When you are 500 episodes old, you just stop caring. You just stop counting the birthdays. It doesn't matter anymore. Well, no. So, what is that noise? Like I hear like
it's probably me on the keyboard. Sorry,
type very loud. First of all, thank you to everyone that's listened, whether it's the last two episodes or all 500. If you've listened to the entire show, you're a trooper. I haven't even listened to the entire show. Okay,
you haven't. None of us have been on the entire show.
Yeah, I've missed just the one, right?
Yeah, you missed one.
Yeah.
I've missed a handful.
Missed a handful. Yeah, that's all right though. We are very happy for everyone that listens to this podcast. We do appreciate it greatly. I know, COVID's been weird. It's, we're not able to kind of gather together and record in person, and guests are a little difficult because we record later at night now because we have to do stuff remote. So it just sort of changed the feel and tone of the podcast a little bit, but I think that's pretty standard for most podcasts. But, I'm happy we're still doing it. And honestly, we have just been so busy. Me and Brock were down at the warehouse today starting to set up. We've got some of our fixtures, so we unloaded those in. We're still far from being, ready. If you heard our podcast from a few weeks ago, we rented a warehouse for the store that we're going to start doing a lot more online shipping and online sales. So it's a big... there's just so much product out there. So, just totally busy with that. I can't even blink at the store without 300 customers walking in. We've been so busy.
Do you guys sell Pokemon cards?
Never stops.
Do you have that Batman Fortnite comic?
Well, it's funny you mentioned about the Pokemon card things, because my original plan, I think I talked about this when we talked about the warehouse a few weeks ago. I did make an offer on the unit next to us, and had we got that may have changed things a little, pretty dramatically. It would have been, I might have still done the warehouse eventually anyway. That was part of my plan, but I just didn't. I figured whatever we get, we'll do. But yeah, it's. We have been just stupid busy. So, it is a little difficult to plan stuff around the podcast just because there are times where I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it. Or I know Geekbox, in a similar fashion, has been bi-weekly. Ryan Scott's been insanely busy at his job from this past year. So, thank you for everyone. But I still try to keep it weekly. We haven't missed too many episodes. So I do thank everyone for listening, and there could not have been less things to talk about than this week in comics.
That would have been a perfect clip show week because you would have missed nothing.
Yeah. So I got something not planned, but I got something we're going to do. But before we do that, there is one thing I want to talk about. Kevin, I had sent it to you.
Our sales chart's back?
Brock, no.
Damn it.
Brock, I know you saw this on Twitter. We don't often talk about CGC and comic sales and things like that on the podcast. We do occasionally. I don't know that I've ever sat down and talked about pedigrees or collections.
I didn't even know there was something called a pedigree.
Yeah. So before we get into this, let me explain a little bit here. So in comic books, I'm sure many of our listeners know this. There's a company called CGC that goes and grades comic books. They put them in a plastic slab, gives it a ranking. They generally, most people are grading high-end, expensive books, first appearances. There's a lot of modern stuff, but some old stuff obviously gets graded all the time. CGC has been incredibly backed up this past year because, like all collectibles, pricing, just sales are through the roof. Everyone's getting everything graded. Sales are. I think there's something like 300,000 live auctions right now on eBay alone for CGC graded books. That doesn't include the endless live sales, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram live sales, third-party auctions, Heritage, all of these other sites. So yeah, there is at any point there's probably 500,000 CGC comics available for sale. Just insane. So I saw this the other day and I was like, my jaw almost hit the ground. It was unbelievable. So there's a sponsored post on Bleeding Cool from Heritage Auctions, which is one of the premier auction houses in America for collectibles and memorabilia. And Heritage is, world known. They've been around forever, and they have, literally every single comic book that's ever been auctioned, or every single comic book that's ever existed has been auctioned at one point or another through Heritage. They do. Again, that's where the big bucks goes. eBay is good, but Heritage is where like the real money is spent. Original art usually all the big stuff goes through Heritage. So this isn't just random, sellers putting the stuff up, right? I mean, Heritage is an auction house, so they collect material and they have specific auction days where things go up for auction. It's not like eBay where it's up for 7 days. I mean, these things are up at different points, and they, it's a real auction. So this was a sponsored post on Bleeding Cool, but it's sponsored by Heritage, and I wanted to share this story and then briefly go over some of the books that are up for auction. Again, we don't normally talk about this, but this is worth looking at. So is the consigner of this auction of comics is remaining anonymous, but there is a collection of comics known as the Promise Collection. Now, what a pedigree collection is when you have a group of comics all owned by, and I believe CGC calls them original owners.
Yes, they do.
I don't believe you can, if you bought a bunch of Action Comics, that's not your pedigree collection because it's not your original collection.
Yeah. Pedigree are people that bought it off the shelf, like off a spinner rack or off a newsstand.
It's tough. I actually don't know if that's true because Mile High, that was a collection purchased by Chuck Rosinski at Mile High Comics. Rosinski, Rosinski, so it is. I believe Edgar Church was the owner of the comics. I'm not exactly sure. I don't believe it was. I'll have to actually do a little bit more research on that. I'm pretty sure you have to have been the original owner of it.
Well, the Bleeding Cool summary says the collection must have been bought from the newsstands by the original owner. It must consist primarily of comics from the 1960s or before. It must be a collection of at least 1,000, and it should be primarily high grade.
Oh, I see it right there. There you go. Answered my own question, Kevin. Thank you.
Becomes the 61st, only the 61st, and I'm surprised the number is even that high with those criteria. Yeah.
So this is high grade, Silver Age or earlier collections. Now, when you think Golden Age comics, the comics from the 30s and 40s, you had to have assumed the vast majority of those books are out there. How many people are coming up with Golden Age collections of comics these days? Original, that have never seen the light of day, that are not been passed multiple times between owners. Well, The Promise Collection is just that. I'll read briefly. This is what Heritage Auctions says about the Promise Collection. It says, in the early 1950s, a young man named Robert was drafted by the army to fight in Korea. His younger brother, known as Junie, enlisted in the hopes of keeping watch over Robert. Junie had but one request of his big brother, that Robert take care of his collection of funny books should anything happen to him in battle. Robert knew how dear those books were to his brother, so he promised him, yes, of course, he would take care of those funny books if something happened, God forbid. Junie was killed in action. He was 21 years old. So in the early 50s, 21-year-old, so you think, okay, he's been collecting comics. If it's early 50s, 21, most people are buying comics and they're kids. So, there's a good chance that he's got a lot of books from the 40s and earlier. And, yeah, you have got to go look at this collection on Bleeding Cool. Now, I don't know if more stuff's going to come out.
Oh, more stuff's coming out.
Well,
they said in the article towards the end that this is the first kind of taste of what this collection is going to have.
Right. I don't know if there's Action Comics #1. I don't know if there's Detective Comics 27. There's not a lot of stuff quite that early. However, almost every single book in this first batch, I believe they said there was close to 4,000 comics. Is that right? I was going through the article earlier. I believe there was around 4,000.
Well, the quote from the Heritage guy says, "I expect nearly 2/3 of the books will stand as the finest known copies for any particular comic represented in the collection."
And that is the point I wanted to get to. So I believe there's 250 of them that are going to be going on this auction for June 17th through 19th at the Comics and Comic Art Signature Auction. Yeah, there are over 250 Promise Collection. So these must have just come back from CGC. Like I this is something, obviously a project they've been working for. Again, if you know CGC, they grade 0.5 scale up to 8.5. So it's 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, up to 9.0. And then it's 9.2, 4, 9.6, 9.8. And 9.8 is widely considered perfect, right? I mean, 9.9s and 10s exist, but...
I mean, a 10 is a book that's come off the printing press and nobody has handled it.
10 is flawless.
Yeah, even if it's been put in a box to ship to a newsstand, it's not a 10.
Right, unlikely.
10 are so rare.
Yeah. 9.9s and 10s are they happen, but it's very, very rare. Guys, you have got to go on Bleeding Cool and go on Heritage and look at these books. They are gorgeous. So one of the key issues...
I want to say something real quick. It's a not Twilight Zone episode, and Ryan is telling you to go to Bleeding Cool.
Well, you could also go to the Heritage site and look there.
Yeah, if you just look up the Promise Collection pedigree, you'll be able to see this.
And for anybody who's listening to this, to make this more fun, you should just pause the show and have this open on your browser window while you're listening.
Yeah, if you do actually go and go to that June 17th through 19th Comics and Comic Art Signature, you can search. If you just search Promise, it will pull up everything that's going to be in the auction.
There's no way to describe these.
Copies of Action Comics are out there. Copies of Detective Comics are out there. There's really good copies. There's fucking nothing like this.
Yeah.
Every single book, when you look at it, it's 9.6. The previous highest grade copy was an 8.5.
Yeah.
9.8. The previous highest grade copy was a 9.2. These copies are gorgeous.
Yep.
They are this should be this needs to be bigger news. I don't know how this has not become the topic for the comic industry for this week, because this stuff it just doesn't exist. Not a single one of these books has ever been known to exist in this condition. So this first batch, I mean, I think the two big ones are Detective Comics 140, which is the first appearance of the Riddler. So that's 1948. That's 10 years into Batman, but still at a 9.6. Again, unheard of. Just absolutely unheard of. And the other big one is Phantom Lady number 17. This is an extremely famous bondage cover. There's a lot of may sound a little weird if you don't know the context here. There was a lot of comics in the 30s and 40s that had some bondage-y overtones of kind of the females in distress on the front cover, and it's a very, for obvious reasons, a very popular thing for some people to collect. And
so did you put your bid in?
I mean, dude, these are all.
I thought Ryan was angling for the first appearance of Solomon Grundy in the All-American.
So good. This is $100 million of comics on this alone. These should all be high 5-figure, low 6-figure comics minimum. They are. I mean, just like Kevin said, just. Nothing ever like this.
Well, what's crazy about this, and what people should really think about when you look at it, is this guy Junie who bought these had to have had the foresight of keeping his comics in really nice shape, not trading them with friends, not rolling them up and putting them in his back pocket, not reading at the playground, saving them, collecting them when it wasn't something that was collectible. They were disposable product. That was the whole point. That's why they're so.
Bags and boards didn't even exist at that point.
No.
So, you were decades away from bags and boards.
Yeah. So they were after his brother passed away. They packed these in a box, put them in an attic where they stayed for 50 years, over 50 years, literally untouched. So the Mile High Comics collection, the Edgar Church collection. Edgar Church was the owner. The reason that is kind of the grandfather of all comic collections is because it was a near complete run of every comic book released in a 20-year period from 1937 to 1957. Every single, I think it's nearly every single, I don't think it was everyone, but almost every single comic book. And I even remember reading some of the like how they found the collection. Like they had been like stacked, like one book face down, one book on top of it, one book face down. So like even the spines were like alternating, and they were just like left stacked and just pressed down, so every book was perfect and flat. Like, and this was found in the 70s. So again, that collection will never be topped. I don't know I don't think it could ever be topped. This is, I think, is as close as we've seen. And it's because of the high grade of these. Imagine you have these thousands of comics. I think I thought I read it said 4,000 comics.
Yeah, you said it was 4,000.
But I don't see it here now that I'm going back through the article. I thought it said 4,000. Anyway, here's 250, and I think almost every single one, if not every single one, is the best known copy in existence.
It's 5,000.
It was 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So like all select comics, it says the top. So it's a 9.8. There are 7 listings above an 8.5, and like they haven't been sold. This is all select comics number.
If you look at, there's actually going to be a really good test case here. If you look at the Detective 140 listing, it says April 2021, a 7.5 sold for $40,800. So that's a
9.6.
This is a 9.6, but that's a really recent sale. So you'll really get a barometer of what the difference is to a collector between a 7.5 and a 9.6.
Should be $250,000 to $500,000. It has to be in that range.
These comics are just, I don't want to use the word miracle for something like this, but if you think of the circumstances that had to line up for these comics to arrive in this condition, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. So a 7.0 of All-American Comics 61, which is the first appearance of Solomon Grundy, in 2020 went for $30,500. This is a 9.6.
Get your bid in, man.
And you're talking $250,000. I mean, and that's why
I'm working at a warehouse. You can afford it now.
I'm not even joking. Like this should hit 100 million plus. Like every single book on this should be 6 figures, if not more. It's crazy. these even if you're not into old comics, like you don't really want to collect them, like you've got to go look at this stuff. It is, and the comics are just so weird from that time period. There's so many, some of these covers you might recognize. There's some Joker covers, but it's just such a look to such a cool era in comics that I just don't think enough people know about. But that Flash Comics 100 with Hawkman, I love that cover. That's just a neat cover. Yeah.
Saw the Thorn one there. That was cool.
There's there's all the early Catman comics, which is really unique. Like I don't think I've ever seen half these books, and here they are in like 9.4s and 9.6s. So this is all like the early Catman, like what would later. Pretty sure it's still the same character that DC has. It's just like the old school version of him. God, it's amazing. It's amazing. Weird ass Submariner. I love those. He looks like an alien.
Where he has the triangle head.
Yes.
all winter stuff. Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, there's a Submariner from 1940 on here. I think it's 1940. That's a 9.8.
Yeah.
Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah. Some of these. So CGC has a census where you can go and look up, like, how many copies have been graded at each condition. And yeah, I guarantee you these are all number 1, number 2. It's amazing. This was, I could go on. I could literally go on about every single comic on this list. And we could record for 40 hours about every single comic. It's just like, look at this. Yeah, go look this up on Heritage.
And poke around the Heritage site in general. You'll see a lot of interesting stuff on there, not just these comics.
Yeah, there's always amazing stuff. It's just,
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, these are going to
just sell just sell one kidney. You can get
get half of one book.
Yeah, just have you sell one kidney and another person sells one kidney, and then you both can buy it.
Yeah, I want to follow this collection as it comes up for sale, because if this is 5% of it, what the hell's in the rest of it? It's amazing. Anyway, we're going to move on. I'm just like scrolling through Heritage.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And it's a really cool era of comics because it's after all of the famous Golden Age comics.
Yep.
And it's before the Silver Age. So it's this funky period where they were just basically throwing any shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. That's why there's all these weird...
They have that. Bless you. They have the Detective 96, which is the one where like Joker is like a genie coming out of that's a great cover. Even that's only a 9.0.
Right.
Only a 9.0.
They've got that famous cover of Captain America battling the Red Skull in Hell. Mm-hmm. I think was one of them on there. Yep. Okay, you said we were moving on. Let's move on.
Seriously, I almost called Scott to see if he wanted to come talk about this. If he had time.
Scott's too busy putting his shekels together to bid on some of these.
I asked him. He said even he can't. This stuff is just out of his range. It's just too much. I want to watch this live though. June 17th. The hell's June 17th? Oh, that's a Thursday. I got a day off. Okay, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think I want to have this on. I think I'm going to watch these go because I want to see what these sell for. These are incredible. These are absolutely incredible. Okay. Anyway, seriously, we're going to move on.
Yeah, moving on.
So, Kevin, I know you can't stay very long. We're going to have a short podcast tonight, and that's okay.
It's all right. Just keep it rolling.
Early. However, we have some questions to answer on the podcast, and these questions might be from years long gone.
Might be or are.
I'm going to dive in to the mailbag. I know you guys all wanted this.
I wanted some mailbag music, like a little jingle.
Oh, I'll find something.
Okay.
And I know Brock and Kevin, you guys asked for this from time. I don't know if the audience wants it, but the audience has got to get some. I'm gonna dig deep back and find a couple and see if I got some good ones here. See, the problem is Some of these I don't actually know the answer to anymore. So we're gonna hit these up. We're gonna have a few of these up here. This is from Matthew. This is from Wednesday, November 27th, 2013. Okay. He says, "Hey, I just finished rereading the big Marvel cosmic event from the last few years, Annihilation through Thanos Imperative." Now, I actually brought this up because the Annihilation Conquest omnibus came back out this week. I think it was Conquest. He says, "Wondering if you can hear anything about how they're going to explain how Star-Lord and Thanos escaped the Cancerverse and why Drax is still alive. Moreover, where's Rich Rider?" Now, the good thing is, enough time has passed. They don't have to worry about any of this anymore because they're all back. I don't remember how they got out, but they got out. Of course they did. I just like this question because it's got a Rich Rider in it. So I think Brock might be trying to talk, but he's muted. So you're still muted. If you
There was a train. Sorry.
There he is. There he is. I saw him.
Yeah, Conquest.
Saying something. Yeah, didn't Conquest just come back out?
Yeah. It's Annihilation Conquest. It has that really awesome cover with is it Annihilus? Like on the just sitting.
Yeah, I can't remember who's on the cover.
But no, was it? That was the really good space stuff from Marvel for a long time. But how Rich Rider came back from the Cancerverse, he just did. That's how it happened. No. Remember, he just came back, and everyone's like, "What the hell? What happened?" And then they finally told you down the road, and by that point, nobody cared anymore.
Yeah, I know they're like the New Guardians book. Al Ewing's like expanded out the cast, and Rich Rider's obviously back as part of that. I just read the Darkhawk one shot that came out a couple of weeks back, and
the one that you actually picked up.
I did, yeah. Of course, Darkhawk. And so, there's they deal with the whole Annihilation era Darkhawk stuff in there too. But this plans for him too. I love Darkhawk, so I can't wait to see what they do with him. Sounds like Kyle Higgins is going to be doing a Darkhawk series, which is I am totally down with that. Got a kind of a comment here, more comment here than question, but comment from Steven. This is from Thursday, January 23rd, 2014. He says, "I wanted to throw my 2 cents in on Blue Estate, Volume 1.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Estate.
Blue Estate. 1. Oh, it's good stuff.
For the moment Brock compared Blue Estate to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I was sold. To anyone that has seen that film, stop what you're doing and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was a book club pick.
Yeah. Anyway, reading Blue State was an interesting experience for me. I typically pay more attention to the writing in a comic, with the art as a distant second. When reading Blue State, I found myself reviewing the art as much, if not more, than what was happening in the balloons. I attribute this to the excellent, rough, but eye-catching art style, and to the stale dialogue. But mostly the great art. Okay, so you didn't like the dialogue, but you liked the art. Yeah. Along with the amazing interior art, as Brock pointed out, the covers are some of the best I've seen, and they're the saving grace of the story. If it didn't have such lovely covers to look forward to at the end of each issue, which seemed to cut off more abruptly than I would expect, I wouldn't have continued reading. Yeah. Other than those few complaints, I thoroughly enjoyed Blue Estate. The irony-filled noir story was great. The art left me wishing for more from this artist. Great pick, Brock. I'd give it 8 Brocks out of 10.
Yeah. Oh. We're going to bring back Brocks.
I'm sure Ryan is looking forward to bringing back the book club for 2021.
Oh, yeah, baby. Hey, we have a warehouse. We can order bulk and ship out now.
As from Lewis, that's from January 2014. Starting with the old ones, and we're just going to slowly, push forward as I get questions I want. He says, "I'm new to DC, jumping into DC with New 52. New 52 was a couple of years prior to the start to this email, so it's not that bad. Yeah. I've noticed that many books will have 2 or 3 artists in one issue. I wanted to know from the group why that is and what you think about it. And to the DC lovers, does it make you like a book less? To the Marvel lovers, is it a reason not to read DC comics? Well, Lewis, let me tell you, the long history of comic books, many comic books have multiple artists per issue. Not most. I don't think it's most, but many. This is not I'd say it's maybe a little bit more prolific. Well, Actually, now that I think about it, I kind of feel like the last maybe 5-10 years it has gotten better. I think there was some bad, the 2000s and early 2010s. I think there was bad, just bad scheduling of art and artists, and multiple artists in one book was a pretty common thing. I'm actually trying to think. I feel like they've kind of more solved that problem in recent years.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but it did happen a lot. In like 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Yeah, DC's done a good job of having at least a good solid house style and putting artists on that'll actually finish things.
You will if there is 2 artists in an issue, they're at least drawing the 2 separate story arcs.
Yeah, so like Strange Adventures right now with Mitch Gerards and Doc Shaner.
Yeah, and that's intentional, right? That was intentional from the start, so that's not like a fill-in or anything like that. But I wanted to say, like on Batman, Gil March and someone else,
Jose. Oh God, what's his name?
Not Jorge Jimenez, not the current series, but some of the earlier issues. I feel like they would do like 2 different character arcs within the same book. Not like
wasn't it Clayman?
Did Clayman do?
Batman hopped around with with Batman when Tom King was writing it. It was they had like artists for a specific period of issues, and then they would do other ones.
Sure, but I mean, you would have like Gil March would do the Joker pages in a story, and then another artist does the Catwoman pages in the same issue. Like less so. Like you turn a page, it's a different artist. You turn the page, it's back to the artist again. You turn the page, it's back to the artist. That was a more common thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do think that has. I do think that has. I think that's been better than it used to be.
A poster child for this phenomenon he was talking about back then is Infinite Crisis. The last issue of Infinite Crisis, I remember Phil Jimenez couldn't finish it, and so they had a bunch of different artists like doing pages.
Doing Phil Jimenez.
Like a page, and then there would be a different artist on the next page, and then there was this huge battle scene. The book's too far away to reach right now, but there was this huge battle scene in the last issue that just wasn't finished, and they just shot the pencils and slapped a red like color over it. So it's just all red with like pencil figures inside the red. And that's how they ran the issue because nobody had time to ink this giant battle.
Yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, then they fixed it for the collection.
The trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do remember that. Yeah, it happens. I don't mind if it's intentional. If they're like, yeah, we're going to have one artist do this character, one artist do this character, like couple pages. Or even if you have like, like George Perez and Ron Lim when they switch off like Infinity Gauntlet. Ron Lim's style at that time, I mean, he's not George Perez, but it's pretty close. They have very similar styles. Or Phil Jimenez, George Perez, and there's another guy that they kind of traded off during that same era of DC books. I think if the art style is similar, I mind it less. But there are definitely books for Marvel and DC where you go like Igor Corgi, you remember that guy? Like this super heavy ink to just like Ethan Van Sciver on like the next page of New X-Men, and you're like, these are so dramatically different.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? It does not happen as often anymore. So we solved it. Fantastic. Kevin, you're gonna have to pick up the slack on this one. I know a little bit, but you're gonna have to pick up the slack on this one. This is from Duff JG. This is from 2018. Jump forward a little bit.
Oh, okay. So relatively fresh.
Yeah. For some reason, I've always had an interest in Solomon Grundy and the Spectre. They have cool backstories. But when I try to find material on them, I've always come away disappointed that they don't seem to fulfill the promise. Are there any good runs that focus on these two that you guys would recommend? And is there any characters that you guys love the idea of, but the books never seem to live up to their potential?
Well, it's funny. So Solomon Grundy's going to be harder just because he's a villain. I just mean because he just like pops up randomly. There's not like a Solomon Grundy run.
There was like a 6 issue or 6 or 8.
He did a mini, right?
Yeah, there was a mini, but it was fine. Yeah.
So here's the thing with the Spectre. In the Golden Age with the Justice Society, he's just a superhero who's a ghost. In the Silver Age, he's like a superhero who's a ghost. Those are the Murphy Anderson issues. In the Bronze Age, when Jim Aparo and Michael Fleischer take over, that's when he becomes awesome. That's when he's like the Vengeance of God character. So it's technically the same character because they established that the Spectre crosses Earth 1 and Earth 2 and it's the same dude. But so what I would say to the listener who's probably not even hearing this at this point, but just for the historical record, the Spectre Omnibus is amazing that they put out. It was last year, I think.
Yeah.
But what you want is, and then the series from the 80s with the Tom Mandrake art was actually really good also. I think that's collected in 2 trades.
Yeah, so the John Ostrander Tom Mandrake.
Yeah, that one.
There's the 90s one as well.
Oh, okay.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was thinking that came out in the 80s. Was that 90s?
Yeah, it ran like 60-something issues.
Yeah, that was long.
I really like that.
Yes, that's really good.
It's basically like Vertigo adjacent, right?
Yeah. So the Jim Aparo one is only like 9 issues long. It was in Adventure Comics in the 70s. His art is fantastic, and the stories are all super, like they're like EC stories.
Yeah.
Super gory and grisly and just awesome. So it's kind of depending on what your flavor is. The Silver Age is like fun ghost superhero stuff.
And that's all Neil Adams, yeah.
Neil was on that, but it was Murphy Anderson first. Oh. And then Neil took over from there. So, yeah, the Spectre Omnibus is great. The Ostrander Mandrake run is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 80s one, I couldn't remember who did it. I'm looking it up here. The 80s one is the Doug Moench. Included some covers.
And
that's
then
stuff too.
That was good. Yeah.
Luis Garcia Lopez does some work.
And so the Solomon Grundy, what would you say?
Gene Colan does it.
Yeah.
Oh,
that Spectre series.
I don't think I realized that was Gene Colan doing that stuff. Oh, okay, that's okay. Oh, this Charles Vest cover is amazing. I found some Charles Vest book the other day that I had no idea. There was a cartoon in the 90s called Pirates of Darkwater, and Charles Vest did the artwork on the final issue. I'm like, why the hell is Charles Vest doing the artwork on this shitty comic? It's amazing. He's great.
Because he wanted a paycheck?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's exactly why.
And it's Pirates of Darkwater, man.
I mean, it's a great cartoon. I will just recommend the Hal Jordan Spectre stuff because it's okay. Like, it's a place in time. The stories are fine. It just sort of always has that that Spectre of Hal Jordan kind of hanging over it. Kevin's shaking his head. It wasn't bad. However,
say, yeah.
The 80s and 90s series are. I mean, that's my introduction to the Spectre. I haven't read too much of the Silver Age stuff, other than appears like issue of Justice League or something like that. Solomon Grundy. I mean, I think just read the modern day JSA books, or you can go to Heritage Auction and bid on the first appearance. You got like $100,000 laying around.
Solomon Grundy is also used really well in the Justice series, the Alex Ross, Jim Kruger series, which is basically Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yep. Solomon Grundy is actually one of my
used really well in the Batman Arkham comics for the game.
That
Arkham Asylum, Unhinged.
Yeah,
Arkham. They used him a little bit in those. They was good when they used him.
Yeah. Well, this is a great comment. This is from Nate. It's from Tuesday, February 7th, 2017. And definitely has to correct us on a statement we made of why Princess Leia is not a Jedi.
What?
When we were discussing, Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace, holy shit!
Wait, the Phantom
Force Awakens, man.
Force Awakens.
God.
Says, hey guys, love the show. Just wanted to address something brought up in the show. It said there's nothing to say that Leia isn't a Jedi, but J.J. Abrams addressed this. He told IGN in 2015, Leia chose not to train when there was other more important work to be done.
Yeah, no, the novels, the current canon novels have her doing like the political stuff and going off and doing missions and all that stuff, but she doesn't do anything like Jedi related.
Yeah. It was a great question, and one we talked about quite a bit, even with Carrie Fisher. Why did she not take advantage of this natural force strength that the character had? One of the answers, it was simply a choice she made, that her decision to run the rebellion and ultimately the resistance and consider herself a general as opposed to a Jedi. It was a choice that she took. R.I.P. Carrie Fisher. So there you go. Thank you, Nate. Thank you for chiming in 4 years later. I mean, you did not chime in 4 years later. I chimed you in.
That was that super long Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
That holiday special.
Yeah.
It'd been fun. It'd been a fun challenge to pair these with the episode that they went with, like why the person would have written. That's the only one I could do so far, though.
Yeah. This is an interesting question. I almost wish I definitely wish I'd followed up on this back on Monday, January 18th, 2016. I wanted to get a little bit more info on what he was asking. But Rigo, if you are listening to the podcast still.
Rigo got pissed off he didn't answer his stuff. So he
said there was so many titles coming out and increasing prices, I've been forced to start pre-ordering new comics. That's great. You should always pre-order your comic books. That's amazing. He says, I try to support my local comic shop by buying back issues and new titles every now and again. My question is, how can shops survive with how the comic industry is continuing to hurt the shops and the readers? Thank you for everything. So I'm not sure I understand this question because...
What was the year again?
2016. I'm going to...
that was Legacy.
For what? Marvel?
Marvel. Because remember, Legacy came out about the same time Rebirth did.
I don't know if it's Marvel or DC. It just says increasing prices. Now, I'm assuming by this, he's meaning pre-order from DCBS or Midtown or one of the big discounters.
That was 2017. Sorry, my bad. That was 2017.
He doesn't say that, but when he says I'm going to start pre-ordering new comics, I'm assuming he means from one of the big discounts.
That's what I thought he meant, to get a discount. Yeah, because he was saying it's a high price. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So Rigo, totally understand. Some stores offer discounts, some don't. Some people are completely fine with giving away the farm to keep their customers. Some stores like us, we are quality over quantity and service over discount. So we do not offer discounts, and that is totally cool. If you swing by the shop and you see something you like, hope you buy it. I cannot
swing by the shop. Comicsconspiracy.biz, man.
Yeah.
Plug that.
I can't.
Store.
I can't argue against people wanting to order graphic novels on Amazon when they can get like 40% off. Have fun returning it 6 times before you get one in good shape. But that's like, the dice you got to roll. So.
I actually told a customer on Monday to put a trade back. It was Adam.
Yeah,
and he had brought up the Christopher Priest Justice League stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, you don't." He's like,
good.
He's like, "You're telling me not to buy something?" I'm like, "I'd rather you buy something that you'll like versus something that
it's not very good."
And what's hilarious is he's like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "Ryan didn't like it," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it's not very good.
But hey, he bought. He paid for stuff, and then was like, "Oh yeah, there's this Swamp Thing Tom King special you should get." And he's like, "Okay."
Yeah. Oh, I will 100%. If people ask my opinion, I'll totally tell them. Yeah, I didn't like this. I'm not going to lie to someone and tell them I liked it.
Yeah.
He also says, when is Toby going to give us his top comic picks for 2015?
Never.
I think Toby's on the line. Toby, you there? He's muted. Toby, all right. Are you muted? Excellent. Toby, when you get this, you check back. Look back at 2015. We need your top comic books for 2015.
You know what else was happening around the time that guy sent in that question?
What's up?
What was the date again?
It was 2015. Or that was 2016. Sorry.
Yeah, January, right?
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the Republican and Democratic primaries for the 2016 election.
Oh. That was a lifetime ago.
Oh, God. Rebirth came out that year?
Yep. And if you could travel back to 2016 knowing what you know now, the main thing you would want to tell yourself is Rebirth is coming. Right?
Yes. Now, this is a great question from Dr. Radium. Oh, I believe Steve is his name in the email here. Now, this is from September 30th, 2014. And Steve, I hope for the last 7 years you have not been doing this, waiting for our answer. And if you have, we finally have given you your answer. Steve says, my girlfriend and I have been buying comics for the last 3 years now. I love my comic dealer and one of his best customers. It's about $100 a week. Recently, we have moved about an hour away. We originally planned to make the drive back each week to get our comics and been doing so for about a month now, or 7 years in 1 month. The problem is it's becoming too much of a hassle, and we have found a comic shop 5 minutes from our house that we both really like. Do you have any suggestions on how we can break the news to our current dealer and still remain on good terms? Thanks. We love the podcast. Thank you, Steve. And let me tell you, I'm assuming you've already done this, but in case you haven't, in case you were still making that 1 hour drive, patiently waiting for your answer, here it is. You have two options. One, check and see if they do mail order. Plenty of shops do mail order. They can mail you your comics. An hour away is nothing. Or it's not nothing. That's a significant drive to buy comic books. Two, tell them you moved and you have to close your subscription box. Yeah. And that's fine. And you'll be around and pick up comics when you're in town. Just really, this goes to anyone. Do not ghost your comic shop. Because I don't remember any customer except for the ones that ghost us. When customers are like, we're moving, we have to close our pull box. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And then I completely delete their information from my brain because I don't have to deal with them on a weekly basis anymore. And I make room for other stuff. When a customer just vanishes on me, I burn that image into my soul. And we hold on to that hate, and that hate powers us.
Like the Red Robin guy?
That's different. That's just a dick. Like, when customers just ghost you, you're done. You can't go back to the shop. You can't open up a pull box for them. They're not going to be friendly to you. You've cost them money. Like, if a customer's like, hey, I'm moving in 6 weeks. Cool. Okay. Perfect. It happens all the time. Happens all the time with us. And that's just say, hey, unfortunately, we have to move. And there you go. That's really it.
Yeah, we like when our experience normally is somebody will tell us they're moving, and you'll be like, oh, okay. Well, we can do, and you give them their options, right? We can cancel everything now. Going forward, you get stuff up until whenever. That's fine. If you want, we can keep getting your stuff, and we can mail it out to you until you find a new shop, right? Like we treat it however you want to do it, and a lot of people go, oh, okay, and we end up having mail order for them for a little bit, and then they get a new store.
Yep.
And
that's all you gotta do.
Sometimes they just get stuff from us and then buy random things from their local store.
Yeah. You just have to do whatever makes the most sense. I mean, driving an hour to a comic shop is a long time, especially doing it every week. If you do it once a month, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it every week, fuck, dude, that's a lot. That's a long drive. That's a long drive. Hopefully you are still reading comics.
You could get the stuff priority to you for cheaper than gas.
Oh, way cheaper. Yeah, for like an hour drive. Yeah, absolutely. If it's even if it's $100 a week. Yeah, priority is probably $15-$20. Hour drive.
Well, remember, it's an hour each way, right?
Hour each way, yeah. That could be half a tank. Sure. Yeah. That could be quarter, 3/4, 2/3, 1/3 of a tank, maybe. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So he's going to hear this week and go like, oh, honey, thank God we can stop driving.
No, see, they've already bought the electric car. They've already committed to all of this stuff.
And look, it was $100 a week at the prices back then.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh,
I just want Leanne to draw like these stories, like these comic stories, right? Just so we have like this tale of Steve and his hour drive to get comics with his girlfriend.
All right, here we go.
Maybe they're married now.
This is from Michael. He says, post-convergence.
So what year? What year is this?
This is from Wednesday, April 15th, 2015.
Oh, God.
Post-convergence. DC launches new titles starting in June. Which of these has the best chance of surviving 2 years or more? So we can answer this. From the future, we can answer this question. Which ones do you guys see as the underdogs, but are personally hoping will survive? Which ones do you see as being destined to get canceled in under 2 years? I'm hoping all of them turn out to be great and survive, but that doesn't seem likely. Okay. Best chances of surviving 2 years or more. Okay. Justice League of America. Now, post-convergence, is that the Brian Hitch series that only lasted 7 issues? Is that the post-convergence Justice League of America book? Or is the 2015, is that the, no, that's JLA. Justice League of America would be the companion book to Justice League, which was Steve Orlando? Is that
Steve Orlando did that series that was the
Justice League of America, right?
Yeah, that was hold on.
So that did last longer than 2 years. So
is that the
No, that's the Brian Hitch one.
Brian Hitch's was called
Justice League of America.
I thought it was just JLA.
No, Justice League
on the
of
cover
America,
it says JLA.
Yeah, but it's Justice League of America Volume 4.
Yeah.
Is that post-convergence though?
That's 2015.
2015. August, yeah. So that's post-convergence.
Okay, that's it.
Happened.
Yeah, well, it lasted, 7 issues, 8 issues?
Yeah, convergence was like something like that. Because remember, the convergence was that they're moving offices.
Right. Okay, Batman Beyond. Yep, Batman Beyond lasted. It lasted until very recently. I mean, they redid it with Rebirth, but Batman Beyond has stayed consecutively this whole time. Robin, Son of Batman. Did Robin? That didn't go for very long, right?
No, because it went into. What was Damian doing with Rebirth?
It was just I thought Robin, Son of Batman was just a mini series, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, it didn't last. I don't think it lasted very long. Yeah, 2015 and 2016. Yeah, that only ran 13 issues. That was the one that was written by Patrick Gleason, right? He wrote and drew it. Yeah, that did not last 2 years. Earth 2. Now, Earth 2, if you count Earth 2 and Earth 2...
We don't count Society. We don't count that. That's Society stuff.
I finished reading that during COVID, during the shutdown. That was some of the books I finished during shutdown. I got a little bit into my New 52 boxes that I never finished. And I finished Earth 2 and Society. It's not great.
No, Earth 2 is amazing. Earth 2 Society? Nope.
Yeah. Green Lantern Lost Army. Well, that was never supposed to be an ongoing series. That was just a mini series. And maybe Starfire if the creative team stays. Well, no, I believe Starfire may have only been a 12 issue anyway. I don't think
it was fairly short.
Be ongoing. So 1. Well, 2 if you count Earth 2. Okay. The ones I'm rooting for, Dr. Fate. Well,
was that the one with the kid that Paul Levitz wrote?
Khalid, yeah. Who's back now? And I like what Ram V does with him. It's just good stuff.
Yeah.
But that original series, it's not.
No. That Dr. Fate kid series was not the best.
Yeah, Justice League 3001.
Oh shit!
You know less said about that book, the better. I think I purged that book from my mind.
Oh god,
it's not good. Was that Giffen? And I like Giffen, and that
it was bad.
Not good. Omega Men is like the winner of like.
Well, Omega Men's that's the start, right?
Well, DCU pre-Rebirth, Omega Men was going to be canceled at like issue 6 or 7. And they got enough fan mail to keep it going to finish off the series. Can you imagine if they fucking axed that after like 6 issues and just left it?
Hey, here's a confession. I've never read that.
It's really good. Yeah. I didn't finish it until more recently. I read it during COVID.
So
I didn't finish it at the time.
I read it single issue, and it's a little difficult to read single issue. I think reading it in trade is going to be a lot better. So I think I got the collection of it somewhere. Yeah. Yeah.
You said destined to be canceled. I'm actually figuring most of them will be. Oh, he also says Hellblazer and Midnighter, and neither of those lasted.
Well, Hellblazer just keeps going and popping up and going, popping up and going.
Yeah, we'll never. I mean, no, we'll never get a 300 issue run of Hellblazer. He says, I figure all of them will be heading for the chopping block within a year, except for JLA, Robin Solo title, and Batman Beyond. 1 out of 3. The sales for Constantine, Justice League 3000, and Red Hood pre-convergence were in the toilet, and Martian Manhunter has never had luck supporting a solo series. I honestly think that in 6 to 12 months they'll be circling the drain again. Now, most of those were always supposed to be miniseries. A lot of those books are... hold on. I forgot a book. He mentioned a book on here that is destined to be canceled. Doomed.
Oh,
which one was that?
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
The Doomsday Kid. Do you remember this book, Kevin?
No.
Doomed. DC.
I am now. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the covers.
Yeah.
Doomed. Yep.
That last 5 issues.
Did it? Even
I don't know if that was
long?
supposed to be a mini or an ongoing, but it did not run for very long at all. Yeah, that was bad. I think they brought him back in something. Did they bring him back in like Teen Titans? He was in something recently, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a blast from the past." Let's see. Now, what books do you want to see DC try, even though you'll know they'll be doomed as well? Now, all I'm saying is Michael has very good tastes because he says my choices for new series are Legion of Superheroes and or Legion. A Booster Gold and Blue Beetle team-up book, which we are getting now.
Yes! Finally! God dang, man.
Manhunter, Kate Spencer, or Mark Shaw. Well, there was talk of a Manhunter miniseries with Kate Spencer, and Mark Shaw's in all the what's his face, the Leviathan stuff.
Yeah.
So that.
Well, Kate Spencer was in it too, like Manhunter.
Yeah. But Mark Shaw, obviously is the villain. The Atom, all right, Captain Marvel, Shazam. We've had a number of Shazam series in the last couple of years, and Checkmate or Argus, and again, we're getting another Checkmate series. So, I. Totally down for all that stuff. And yeah, boy, there were some bad books during that period. Oh, wow. That Martian Manhunter series, boy, I tried. I really disliked it.
I don't even remember which one that was. Only one I can remember is that recent one, the Riley Rossmo, Steve Orlando.
Yeah, that one. I couldn't get into that one.
I think that's it, right? Oh, no, that's Rob Williams. No, this is Rob Williams. Yeah, it's... see who's the artist. I don't remember who did it. And Eddie Barrows. Martian Manhunter is like super like alien looking. Like all like he's like it's he looks like a totally different character.
Let me see.
I didn't like that Riley Rossmo one either. Steve Orlando one. I disliked that series greatly.
Yeah, it was not. It was not. I tried. I just could not get into it.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that Manhunter series. That was. Not...
Oh yeah, and the cover that just popped up has him fighting that Superman who wears the jeans.
Yeah.
Boy, this a memory. This is a real flashback. Jeez.
Woof.
All right. I got a question here from Alexander. Monday, May 12th, 2014. We'll do 1 or 2 more of these. No more rounds.
I have a question for you guys. After
okay.
After you knock these out, go.
Okay. It's from Alexander. He says, I used to be a big Marvel fan, but I fell out of Marvel after Siege and Second Coming.
Well, Second Coming wasn't horrible, but Siege was
I'm trying to get
really
back in.
Bad.
but I have no idea what is happening. Can you guys recommend what books I need to read in order to get caught up in the Marvel Universe? Okay. So I'm going to put myself in the head of 2014, and the last thing I read was Siege. When was Siege? That wasn't that long before that. Was Siege like 2013? I feel like that wasn't.
See, I remember Siege having. Wasn't Siege like 2010?
Yeah, it's 2010. Yeah. That's the Bella Bendis.
I remember Siege having really good art. Am I crazy?
Oliver Copiel.
Yeah.
Okay.
The art was good. The story was just.
Olivier Copiel.
Olivier. Yeah.
Olivier? Is it Olivier?
Yeah.
I think I always call him Oliver Copiel. Is it Olivier Copiel?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel stupid.
I think it's Coipel. I don't think there's a second.
Oh, I apparently have no idea how to pronounce his name.
Oh, that was when they were
Coipel.
They did.
Coipel.
I think that's correct.
They did that heroic age stuff that didn't go anywhere after that. Oh
yeah. Post.
Now, Brock, don't tear down, Brock. The questioner was asking, "What do you recommend to get into Marvel?"
Like current Marvel or like since Siege?
Marvel at that time.
Yeah, so there are comics post Siege and into the heroic age, and of course you want to read like Uncanny X-Men when Matt Fraction was on it. That was around that time. Punisher Frankencastle is also during this time period. So if you there is a sick group of people out there that really like Frankencastle, and just stop trying to make Frankencastle a thing. We got over Punisher being an angel. Don't make him Frankenstein. It could be a weird what if thing. Just stop it. Just stop it being a real thing in the comics. Okay, I don't ever want to hear about this again. Okay. Spider-Man the Gauntlet is all that stuff. Is all that post Siege? Maybe it is. I feel like that stuff was earlier, but that stuff's all good. All the Spider-Man stuff in that era was really good. And according to this list I'm looking at, I think this is the Andy Diggle Daredevil run was during that time period, and that stuff was not horrible. So maybe not the best of the. At the best of it, but
it looks like Miss Marvel started around that time, 2014.
Like the first series?
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
What was Captain America back then?
Was that the Alien Kirby World stuff?
Yeah, that was
Was that Romita Jr.?
The Rick Remender stuff.
Yeah.
This is when
Romita Jr.
Yeah, this is when they had the event, like Avengers Assemble. The Hickman Avengers was going on at the time. You could have gotten a Marvel Encyclopedia and got some more information.
Yeah, the Rick Remender Captain America was 2014, so it's right around the same time period.
Infinity was around that time.
I did not care for that run at all either. Here we go. John says, first of all, guys, sorry if I have this email to the wrong address. I'm trying to reach the podcast. Well, John, you absolutely reached the podcast. So this is Wednesday, September 2019. This is more recent. Just wanted to say I'm a relative newbie to the show, but every Wednesday I get excited and fire up the show when I'm home from work. Love you guys do. So there's a good chance John is still listening. So I can't remember which guy in the show is the one who does this, and I'm not trying to steal his thing. But the guy in the show who has the autograph book. Now, I believe he's talking about Kevin here.
That's Kevin. He's talking about Kevin.
Good. Your DC book.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think it's the coolest thing.
Aww.
I'm recently getting heavy into comics and started developing my favorite artists and writers. My question is, at conventions, will artists and writers sign a blank notebook, or is that weird for them to do? I love the idea of starting a book with my favorite people.
If Disney characters can do it, they can do it.
Here's what I would tell. I have a buddy who has he carries a little, it's like a pocket-sized journal it's kind of like a sketchbook, except you could put it in a back pocket of some pants. It's that size, but it's just blank pages. And he has taken that to cons for as long as I have taken that DC book to cons. And he'll just go up to any guest of any interest to him and ask them to sign. So this book is full of the most eclectic mix. There's no theme to it at all, no organization, no rhyme or reason. There's comics names, there's celebrity names, there's like writers from outside comics. But basically, it's just a blank page that has a signature in the middle of the page.
Does he annotate who it is?
No, because recently we were flipping through it trying to decipher who some of these names were.
That's amazing.
But so, yes, they'll sign it. The point being, yes, they will sign it, but you just have to decide, do you think it's cool to have I mean, you're the one who it matters to, not what they think, if it's cool or not. I mean, for you, would you enjoy flipping through a notebook that just has a signature on it? Or do you want that signature on something that's connected to the work that person has done?
I got something to add to that.
Hey, he unmuted. Toby's here. Toby.
Well, no, you unmuted me finally, so I was just patiently waiting.
Toby's been talking this whole time on every topic.
I've been yelling out of my lungs. But, I'm used to it by this point. No, what I did start, I usually carry early on when I couldn't afford commissions, or actually I didn't even realize what commissions were at the time. I used to just take a sketchbook around, and I just went to artists I enjoyed, and they would do a freebie sketch in it if they had time. And a lot of times they say, I'm working on commission. And again, at the time, I didn't realize what that meant. I just nodded, go, thank you, and walked away. But I would have artists draw sketches in them. And what I did later on was sometimes I would have like the writer of a specific character, like add a little word bubble on there that they can sign. Like, for example, like Pia did, like, a little, last man on Earth, whatever it's called. Why the Last Man? And then, the writer would just do a little blurb in there and then sign that. So that way you kind of get both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I had Eastman do a Raphael, and then I had the guy that did the voice for Raphael do a little thing on it, saying Kawabunga, and then he signed that on the same page. So I always thought that was kind of cool. And I didn't do enough of those, but I kind of realized later that that's kind of cool. That's kind of what I like. But yeah, that's just another idea for it.
Toby is also speaking of some long gone golden days of getting free drawings at cons.
Are they gone? I mean,
they're not completely gone. It's just luck these days. Like Joelle Jones was going to draw something in that DC book, but the DC security shut her down from doing it.
Really?
At San Diego. I was about to say San Diego last year, whenever we were there. Yeah,
15 years
because they wanted to churn people through the line, and so it's like no sketches. You just like scribble your signature and go.
Well, that must have been in the DC booth, then, which makes sense. They're trying to get them as volume through as possible. Usually you could get them at their table if they have one, but you don't always know if they have one. For that kind of stuff, the smaller cons are still kind of better, I'll be honest.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess that's what you get for being old, is you get to tell stories of the better days when we're younger, of, I guess, free sketches and stuff. So, because I do have a Jim Lee in there that I got on my own. Well, I have a Jim Lee in there that was like my first page. It was the first very, like, one of the first lines I was trying to get a free sketch in. And he did do sketches for the first, like, 5 or whatever, and I think I was, like, number 7, number 8. So I had nothing for him to sign. So what he did was he signed the first page in the sketchbook. So for years, I mean, I think it took me like 7 or 8 years, and I started filling the sketchbook out, but I kept trying to get him to draw. And eventually I did. I actually did get him to draw on that page that he signed like 7 or 8 years ago. And then like years later, I think that's when Ryan called me up and says, "Hey, are you in line for Jim Lee?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Go run up to him and yell chimichanga or something weird." And I'm like, "Okay." I literally left my spot in line and yelled at him, and I got a free sketch that way too. So that was kind of cool.
I know we've told this story on the podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for anyone that hadn't heard it before, Jim Lee posted on Twitter I'm signing at the DC booth or whatever booth he was at. The
first was person, a table, I think, in Artist Alley.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
The first person that comes up to me and says, "Was it chimichanga?" It was something like that,
or some kind of taco. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was. Let's say it's chimichanga. It's the first person that comes up and says chimichanga to me. I will draw a free bus sketch. And was it a full sketch or just
no? This is a head sketch.
Head sketch. Yeah, of any character you want. I'm like, I tweeted this out, and I see it pops up on my feed. I call Toby. I'm like, Toby, where are you?
The funny thing is like, I was in line. Go, why the fuck is Ryan calling me? I'm in the gym. Yeah. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I'm like, you have to trust me. Run up there.
Yeah, that one worked out really well.
Funny. Yeah.
But no, for years though, my very first page in my sketchbook was signed by Jim Lee with an empty page that I think 8 or 9. That's a different sketch than that one, but for 8 or 9 years that was empty, and then I finally got him.
I think I mentioned this. So I have a signed copy of Green Lantern Rebirth by Jeff Johns, of course, and Ethan Van Sciver. I am debating getting a similar colored to the interior, because it's the one both sides of the interior front cover, like a sticker or some sort of thing I can put over his signature, and almost to offset or purge the books. I
got it.
Bad juju.
You ready? I get it. Just get one of those things that says, "This book belongs to," and just slap it right over the top of it.
Well, no, I want it to be blank, and then I want to pull a Kevin and be like, "Look, I know you didn't work on this book, but here's what's under this. I need people to sign over this. Can you cleanse this book for me?" And I think I will get people to sign it. So I think people will go for that. All right, let's do one more, and then we're going to get out of here. Someone pick a year.
We haven't done 2019.
I've done a couple.
2019 was that signature one.
Okay.
When we get to the last couple of years, I don't have too many.
People, the word's gotten out. The word has gotten out in the last couple of years. Don't email that fucker. You'll never hear your question read.
No, you'll hear it read years later.
Yeah.
So on episode
2018.
2018. Okay, give me a month.
How about the month we're in right now, if you have one?
What the hell month is this?
May.
Let's see. I just opened an email. It's like 40,000 words long. It's pretty good.
You could just pick any month. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, I'm looking. Boy, I had.
No, you didn't. You didn't have it. You didn't have nothing.
Okay, I'm going to ask my question.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, it's from Brandon. It's from me. So I had 3 or 4 that were not questions to read. It's not questions. There we go. Yeah, ask me a question. Oh, here we go. It's from Kevin. This is the one I was going to read. Forgive me if this is ridiculously obvious, but I haven't heard it brought up on the podcast. Is it possible that Marvel took a break from its constant renumbering for Legacy only because it had so many landmark issues falling in that time frame? Amazing Spider-Man with issue 800, Peter Parker with Peter Parker 300, Daredevil 600, Captain America 700, Thor 700, and Invincible Iron Man 600. Also, for context, I love Marvel. Don't hate me for asking this, Bryce. Kevin, you are probably right, and also it doesn't matter because at this point they'll just renumber whenever they want and be like, "Yeah, the math says this is the amount of numbers. This is the amount of numbers."
And then the internet proves them wrong, and they still say, "This is the right amount of numbers."
Yeah, not a great question to go out on, though. That's okay, though. How about one more?
Okay, here, I'll give you one. Ready?
Oh yeah, you were going to ask.
There we go.
Yeah.
So this goes back to the first conversation about the Heritage All right. So it's for all of you guys. Mm-hmm. Take money out of the equation. Take investment out of the equation. This is just personal. You can have a slabbed 9-point whatever of any comic, American comic book from the history of comics being published. Again, you want to put in your will to somebody else, that's fine. But don't think of it as what you could turn around and flip for the most money. What would you most want to have at home just to know that you own it?
Wait, is there a caveat? Like you can't pick...
No, I'm just saying don't think of it in terms of only what's worth the most. Think of what you would most want to own.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how much they're worth. They're still the coolest 2 books.
Yeah, so do you know your pick?
Clearly, it's NFL Super Pro #1.
Yeah, I was going to go with US 1 #1, but okay.
I know that Nomad #1 was pretty good.
I have that.
Okay, so Brock's going to choose Fool Killer. Let's move on.
I mean, I feel like there really is no other answer other than Action Comics #1. I mean, if it's just like you could have a book, that's not even for the value; it's for the significance of the book.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
like that would be a boring
Batman.
Answer, but like
I go with either Batman 1 or Detective 27 personally.
I mean, the answer would be Detective 27.
Well, if you were going to, so in that case, I would probably choose All-Star #3.
That's a great issue.
But my actual answer, which I had thought about, would be Brave and Bold 28. And I think it's because, like, those Golden Age books are obviously more historically significant. But Brave and the Bold 28, when I put together my run of JLA, I had Brave and Bold 29 and 30, but I could never get 28 at an affordable price.
No can't.
So just to finally own that spectacular freaking cover that is just magic, it's still magic to this day. I would love to have a copy of that.
No, I mean, there's
a facsimile copy of it. Did you get that?
Me and Toby, thanks to Scott, picked up the
Batgirl, right?
There's a Batgirl. So we unintentionally just kind of fell into a super great key issue.
That's a great cover too. That's a great cover. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, you'll never. I mean, Action Comics #1 is the most important comic ever made. I mean, that is the start of everything. There are comics before that, but Action is the thing that made the industry. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to. I've seen one in person. I've seen him in person. I think twice, maybe just the one time. It was a convention a long time ago. It wasn't even like Comic-Con or anything weird like that. It was me. I think it was WonderCon, like pre Comic-Con owning it. So this would have been 90s.
Now, would you display your copy or would you put it in a safe?
Owning something and keeping it in a safe is totally worthless. If I was going to sell it, then that's a different story. But specifically based on your caveat of it doesn't matter. The price is kind of not the question. It's just, is this something that's important to you? That's a cool thing to have. Yeah, I mean, I would display it under, 6 feet of impenetrable, bulletproof UV glass, but a museum frame. But yeah, of course. I would totally display that. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know where. But it's like in my room, I'm like, hey, it's Smash Comics #1. Just kind of walked away. But someone has to take the fucking wall to get it out. You just have to take the whole wall. That'd be incredible. And that's actually, so that's what I've been doing with a couple of my, with some of those covers I like, because I kind of have a big wall of like my favorite DC figures, and a lot of them are very, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez influenced, that 80s crisis era design. I have some more modern figures too. A lot of like the Jeff Johns Teen Titans and stuff like that. But a lot of the traditional figures are that very classic look. So I've picked up some covers that I really like to sort of display behind them. I had that first Flash race, the Flash Superman race is there. I'm going to put that Batgirl there. I have a couple other covers I'm looking at. And unfortunately, the best covers are also always key issues, right? I mean, they're one and the same, but it is just cool to display that stuff. It's like if you're getting it if you're getting it to display and then not displaying it, what's the purpose? I've obviously the vast 99.9% of my 99.999% of my comics are not displayed; they're in boxes. But that's because that's the stuff I read, I buy. The stuff I bought to display, I'm displaying. Doesn't matter the price. Toby?
Yes?
Is there one besides Action Comics?
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if that question came with a caveat that you can't pick either of those two.
Oh, no, it's okay.
If it's not those two,
that'd be a more interesting question, because I feel like...
Yeah, I think it really changes the answer.
Yeah, because it's either going to be one or the other, right? But yeah,
because it's funny, when I thought of the question, I was just thinking of like a couple of choices of my own in my head, and those never even popped in my head as answers. Because I think I just think of those as so removed. It's like owning the Constitution. You know what I mean?
Bring it on. Nick Cage, go steal it.
Yeah, right.
We go steal Action Comics #1 and WonderCon of 1997. Let's bring it on. Time travel. Heist. I don't know. I mean, Bryce would probably say X-Men #1, but he actually owns it, doesn't he? He owns that one, doesn't he?
What's that?
X-Men 1?
X-Men #1?
Yeah, I think so. I think he still has it, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still trying to track down a Daredevil #1 for a price I can afford. I probably pick Action Comics #1. Not Action Comics, the Superman one. But yeah, I honestly don't know. I feel like the ones that are in affordable range or possible, those I slowly will eventually get, if that makes sense. It's the ones that are completely out of the realm of me ever be able to get. Those are the ones I would pick with this. So yeah,
it's a tough question because there's so many good comics. But yeah, I don't know if it's not Action Comics.
I think
a Showcase 4.
That might be the answer. Scott Braddock's copying is gorgeous.
Yeah,
that's just such a good. All right, we did it, guys. We did 500 of these things. Sure, some of them are worth listening to. Thank you all.
Wait, so what happened today? All you guys did was read old emails?
Yeah, and we talked about the promise collection on Heritage Auctions for like half an hour. Just go listen to the first half an hour. It's amazing.
Okay.
What did you bring to the table, Toby? What special guest did you bring to this podcast?
I fucking showed up, man.
You brought yourself, Toby. That's all we ask.
Yeah,
we ask. Show up.
No, wait. For that's all we did for the 500 episode is read old emails.
Yeah, at some point,
did you at least read all of them?
No. At some point, Toby, you just stop celebrating birthdays, and it's just another day. It's just another
I'm
day.
at that point, but when it's a podcast, it goes the other way. You don't celebrate the early ones because those are fake milestones. But once he hit to 500, that's a worthy celebration.
Yeah, it is. We read a bunch of old emails from like 2014. It's amazing.
All right.
Toby, I told him he should have just made it a clip show from old episodes.
Well, there's some good stuff. People may never listen again, but there's some good stuff.
There's I forget the guy's name, but there's someone on Twitter that's listening to all our old episodes, and he's tweeted at me some pretty great things we've said in the past. So.
Lord have mercy.
I'm pretty sure I just said there'll never be a Bill and Ted's 3. So.
Oh well.
And the Bill and Ted Twitter account liked that tweet. So there you go. Look at that. We have to thank all of our wonderful backers. Some of them who have been with us almost all 500 episodes. Oh, not to be done, at Patreon for 500, but for a lot of these: Joe Duff, Craig Anderson at ClearPathCoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray back on our top list. Thank you, Talon, and thank you, everyone, for your continued support of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast. You can find us at comicconspiracypodcast.com, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, all those previous episodes. If you head over to patreon.com/comicconspiracy, you can kick us a couple bucks for hosting this podcast. It always helps. I knew I could say the word I'm about to say. Comicsconspiracy.biz is our online storefront where you can buy comic books from us, and they'll get shipped. And pretty soon, they'll be shipping from the warehouse. Getting that set up soon. I'll send pictures once we get a little bit more in there. GetSpiritedBrock.com is Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. You can find him there. The Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast is Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. He's not on tonight because he's feeling a little under the weather from his second COVID shot. If you have not received your COVID shots yet, you should do that, because I have taken to publicly harassing people I know that have not gotten COVID shots yet, because there's no, unless you unless you have a note from your doctor and you are possibly allergic to vaccination, which is a real thing, you should get vaccinated against COVID-19 so we can all return to normal. And if you are not getting vaccinated for COVID-19, you should change that immediately. Thank you. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension, again, Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. The weekly interview series Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. That's Kevin's interview series where he interviews a bunch of cool comic creators. And go to leannehill.com or etsy.com/shop/leannehillart, which is where my wife Leanne has all her artwork for sale, and you can check out her stuff for there. If you're on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan, that is me. You can follow me on there. Brock is Best Basement, BES Basement. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp in the stores. Comics Con store. Check out Geekbox. Like I said, I think we're pretty much officially every week now. Just a lot of work on Ryan Scott's part, conflicting schedules. You know how it is. Life gets in the way. And our good friends over at Manga Bank Nations, go check those guys out. Okay, that is it. Thank you guys for. Totally serious. Thank everyone. If you've listened to one of these, 500 of these, however many it's been, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We'll keep going until we stop. And I don't know when that's going to be. Could be next week. I have no idea. Could be 500 more episodes. Could be 1,500,000 more episodes. It's one of these days we're going to stop. Don't know when, but it's not now.
When we're 80 and 90... and you yell at each other like really slowly, like
where episodes are like 2 hours long.
Annoying.
We're already there, aren't we? We're already there.
Well, no, we still yell at you pretty good. But you're like, you are horrible human.
We're definitely slowing down. All right, see everyone next week for 501. Goodbye.